Welcome coders. Now its topic is JavaScript for loop. Okay. So in the previous lecture we have discussed about if else and switch. Now it's time to discuss about the JavaScript for loop. So loops can execute a block of code. So it will execute a block. This is block of code. Okay. This is the block. Loops block of code a number of times. So a number of times it will execute a block of code. JavaScript loops. Loops are handy if you want to run the same code over and over again, each time with a different value. Often this is case while working with arrays. So if you don't use loop, instead of writing, so you can write this. So if you don't use it, the same code you have to write several times repeatedly. So this is cumbersome, this is unnecessary, but instead of that, you can write a loop over here. You see this is loop. So actually what is happening over here, I am showing you. Okay, I'm console logging text. So instead of beer, it's printing directly. I'm giving. So we are getting BMW, Volvo, Saab, Ford, Fiat, and Audi. So actually, loop means it's iterating through every object. Okay. So I'm console logging console.log I. Let's see I. What is doing I? So this is means 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. So it's iterating repeatedly through 5 until cars.length. When it will finish? It will finish when it will pass the length. I mean when it is 6 up to 5 it will run. Okay. It's because we are giving condition cars.length. Okay. So it has a discussion what the parameters or segments are. So try to understand this. If you if you don't use it, you have to write it repeatedly. You have to write it repeatedly. That's why loops are handy. You have to write it repeatedly. So this is cumbersome and unnecessary. So to avoid the repetition, you have to write like that way. So it is initialization. We have the discussion about that in the later segments. So different kinds of loops. JavaScript supports different kinds of loops. For loop, for loops through a block of code a number of times. What we have done, it loops through a number of code. It loops through a block of code a number of times. Okay. So this is block of code. This is the block number of times. How many times? 0 until length. Cars dot length. So cars dot length console dot log cars dot length 6 times. Okay. And it will run 6 times and it will increase 1 by 1. Okay, that it is saying. For loops through a properties of them. So we have foreign in the next chapter. So foreign is used for object, but this is array. Okay. So for of loops through a value iterable object. So we'll discuss about iterables, and it has while loops. While loop through a block of code while a specific condition is true. Then we will do while. Also loop through a block of code while a specified condition is true. So for loop, for statement creates a loop with 3 optional expression. So this is expression 1, this is expression 2, this is expression 3. Okay. So this is expression 1, this is expression 2, this is expression 3, and it is being separated by the comma. Okay. So 3 expression, but optional, but you need to provide 3 expression to get the optimum result. So expression 1 is executed on time before the execution of the code block. So it will run on time. It is basically initialization. Okay, is executed on time before the execution of the code block. Expression 2 defines the condition of the executing the code block. Condition. So the second portion is the condition. Okay, this portion is the condition. It is executed every time after the block of code has been executed. So this is the third option. Every time, it will run every time. Okay, so that it is happening. So it will, this is the condition, it will run up to 5. Let's see. So I have both testers, so it's creating problem. And here it will be console log. So instead of BR, so the number is 0, the number is 1, the number is 2, the number is 3, number is 4. So it will run 5 times starting from 0. Okay, so the number is, you can see by console logging I, console.log I. So I means it will iterate over 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will iterate over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay, so that it is saying. From the example above, you can read expression on sets a variable before loop starts. So this is the initialization. So what we have done, this is the initialization. This is the first part, expression on. So expression on sets a variable before the loop. So we are initializing or setting a value. Then expression 2 defines the condition of the loop to run. It must be less than 5. So it's saying the condition. It must be less than 5 or whatever the number you are providing or condition you are providing. So this is the condition. And expression 3 increases a value each time the code block in the loop has been executed. So it will increase the value. Okay, so this is the last expression. Okay, how to use expression on. Expression on is used to initialize the variables used in the loop, let I equal to 0, but expression on is optional. So it is optional. If you don't provide it, it will also run. You can omit expression on when your values are set before the loops start. So you can omit it. Say we have an expression over here, I'm showing. So expression on is optional. So there is no, you see, first expression is blank. So even though it will give you the expected output. So it is giving I initialize 2. So it will not start from 0. It will start from 0, 1, 2. That's why we are giving sub and float. But if I make it 0, it will start from BMW. If I start it from 1, it will from 0, 1. We will get Volvo 0, sub 1, 1, Volvo 2 and 3. So from where you start, you will get the output. But the main noticeable thing is that you are not providing the first expression, even though it's working. Okay, that it is saying. So expression on is used to initialize the variables used in the loop. Let I equal to 0, but expression on is optional. You can omit expression on when your values are set before loop starts. So you can initiate many values in expression on separated by comma. So you can use several things in on expression. You can initiate value in expression or separated by comma. Okay, so even though we are not providing the inside the for loop, even though it will work, okay, that it is trying to say we are initializing outside, even though it is working. So it is optional. So you may initiate many values in expression or separated by comma. Let's see it. So you see, this is the first expression, and this is the second expression. This is the second expression. But in the second expression, we are using two more things, lot of things. This is the second expression. So in the second expression, we are using length, text, and condition. So that it was trying to say. So you can initiate many values in expression on separated by comma. So in the expression, you are using lot of things. So you can do that if you wish. Okay. Okay. So we are getting BMW, Volvo, Saab, Ford. And if you wish, you can check the I. So it is also possible. Okay, how to use expression 2? Expression 2 is used to evaluate the condition. So condition of the initial variable I less than length. But expression 2 is also, this is also optional. If the expression 2 returns true, the loop will start over again. If it returns false, the loop will end. So if you want to omit expression 2, you must provide a break inside the loop, otherwise the loop will never end. So if you don't provide the say I'm showing you this. If you don't provide the condition, the loop will never end. So it will hang the browser. You see, it's not working. So it will hang the browser. So you should not do that. You have to provide the condition, okay? But it is optional. So if you omit expression 2, you must provide a break inside the loop, otherwise loop will never end. This will crash your browser. Read about breaks in later chapter of the series. So we'll discuss break later in the chapter. So how to use expression 3? Expression 3 increments the value. So expression 3 is like that. So it increments the value of the initial variable, but expression 3 is also optional. Expression 3 can do anything like negative increment or positive increment or anything else. Expression 3 can also be omitted, like when you increment your values inside the loop. So we have not provided the expression 3 even though it's working. So you see, no, this is the expression on optional, not provided. This is expression condition, and third expression is not provided, even though it's working. Okay. So I dot length, and it's so expression 3 is at the end of this block. Okay. This is I plus plus. So if you don't provide, it will work also, no problem. We are getting the BMW Volvo, but if I make it 1, we'll get it from 1. If I provide 2, get it from 2. So it's working. So this is also optional, but if you don't provide the condition, it will become endless. Your browser will crash. So this is the JavaScript loop. Okay, can be omitted, like you can increment it inside the loop. So inside the loop, you are incrementing. Who is it supposed to be here? So it's supposed to be here. Sorry, it's supposed to be here. Okay. Okay. So loop scope, using bar in loop. So we'll discuss about the scope. So you see, this is bar, and this is I. It is becoming 10, but it is actually 5. So let's see. So console log I is equal to 10. Why it is 10, but it is 5? Can you guess why it is 10, but it should be 5, but it is showing 10? Is because it's the variable we have discussed in the previous tutorial, that what is happening. So bar is a function scoped, not block scoped. Okay, so it's a function scope, not block scope. This means I declared inside the for loop modifies the global I. So it's modifying the global scope. Okay, but if you use let, this problem will be solved. So its for loop modifies the global scope. So when the loop finish execution, I has reached to 10. So when you access is outside the loop, it still holds the last increment value. So it modifies the global scope. That's why it's become 10. But if I use let over here, it will become 5. You see, it's become 5. So that is the scope. We have discussed bar in the previous chapter, and we also discuss in the future chapter when we will discuss about the execution context, hoisting, scope, like that. Okay, so we have the chapter, no worries if you don't understand. So using let in the loop, so to avoid this error, you can use let. So if you use let, you will get 5. Console log, so this time we are getting 5, but if I use bar over here and bar here, it will become 10. So what is happening over here? So the first example, using bar, the variable declared in the loop redeclares. So this loop redeclares the global variable, redeclares the variable outside the loop. So this is outside the loop. If you use bar, this variable, the variable declared in the loop does not, the variable declared in the loop redeclares the global scope. Okay. In the second example, using let, the variable declared in the loop does not redeclare the variable outside the loop. So when use let is used, the declare the I variable in the loop, the variable will only be visible within the loop. Okay. And let's see if we console log I. So if we use bar, it's modifying the global scope. Okay, but if you use let, it will not modify the global scope. Okay, outside is 5, inside is 10. Okay, so when Leo declares the variable in the loop, I variable will be visible within the loop. Okay, for of and for in loops in JavaScript. This for in loop and the for of loop are explained in the next chapter. While loop and do while loop will be explained in the next chapter. So we are done with the JavaScript for loops. So in the next chapter we will discuss about the for in loop. Okay. Okay, now discuss about the for in loop. So JavaScript for in statement loops through the properties of an object. So this is especially for object. So this is the syntax key in object. Okay, so here is the example, basic example. Let's see it. So we are bringing it to our VS Code. Okay, if you console.log text. So this is John Doe 25. Okay, so let x in person. So you can give it any name, say par. Say par and give it par. You'll get the expected result. So x is not important. So you can see the what we are getting in the par. Console.log par. So par means it is the key value pairs. I mean, it is the key of the object. Okay. F name, L name, and H. Okay. So this is especially for object. And why it is for object, not for array, I will show you in the later. So for in loop iterates over a person object. Each iteration returns a key. The key is used to access the value of the key. Okay, the value of the key is a person x. Okay, what we have used over here, say person x. This is actually x. For in over array. The JavaScript for in statement can also loop over the properties of the array. So it can do with the array, but this is not the best practice for array. So do not use for in over array in this index order is important. So if the index order is important, then you should not do that. So you can do it in the array. So I am showing. Console.log and removing the b. Okay, 45, 4, 9, 16, 25. Okay, you can see the x. So x means 0, 1, 2, 3. So here is order is important, otherwise you will not get the expected result. Say, okay, I'm making you understand a little bit later. So you can do it with the array. So do not use in over array if the index order is important. The index order is implementation dependent and array value may not be accessed in order you expect. This is better to use for loop. So use for loop for array, for up loop or array for is when order is important. So if order is important, say in this code, I'm showing you here in this code, order is not important. Why order is not important? Let's say I am giving f name at the finishing. Even though I'm getting the expected result, okay? Do. So order is not important over here. But if I keep 45 a little bit later. So this is 45, I'm keeping it here. So we are not getting 45 here, we are getting another place. So here order is important. That's why it's saying that. So do not use foreign over an array if the index order is important. The index order is implementation dependent and array value may not be accessed in the order you expect. So you may not get it the order you expect. So it is better for use for loop. Main thing is that they are discouraging you to use for in loop with array. Rather, this is dedicated for object. Okay, so for object use for in loop, but for loop for array you can use. Or it's better to use for loop. Use for loop instead of for in loop or for of loop or array for is. For array, these things is the best solution, but for object, foreign is the best solution. So they are discouraging it to use it with array. Okay, do not use foreign loop over an array where order is important. So if order is important, you should not use it. The next order is implementation dependent. The index order is implementation dependent. The array value may not be accessed in the order you expect. It is better to use for loop. So I'm giving an example what these three lines are saying. So do not use foreign loop. You should not use. They are discouraging to use foreign loops over an array. So what it is saying actually. So if we have a array, say if we have a say we have this object and we are console logging text console.log text. Okay, okay, so John Doe, but say I am showing here. So if I wanna get say console.log say person dot f name, so we are getting John. So forget about this, not need it, it doesn't, it will not need it. So we are getting John, but what happened if I changing the place? So if I changing the place from here at the last, so my output is not damaging, or my output has no problem. Still now we am getting John. So I am changing the place. Okay, initially it was in the first position, now it is the last position, even though I am getting my expected output. But what would happen if it is say const cars equal to say BMW. Okay, say car say Ford say Volvo. Okay, so if I console.log cars, and I'm trying to get the 0 position. Okay, so 0 position, so I'm getting BMW. But if I change the position of the BMW, say I'm placing it here, so I'm getting Audi. So if index is important, you should not use for in loop, because you see what about the position, I'm getting the expected output, but if I change the position I will not get the expected output. There things are saying over here. So do not use foreign over an array if the index order is important. So here index order is important. In the last example, index order is important, but here index order is not important. Okay. So the index order is implementation dependent. The array value may not be accessed in the order you expect. It is better to use for loop. So they are discouraging use to foreign loops. Okay, here for object. So if it is better to use for loop, for up loop, array if the order is important. So for array you can use. They are encouraging you to use this, and they are discouraging you to use foreign loops for the array. Okay. Okay, now array for is. The for is methods calls a function, callback function ons for is array element. Okay, let's for is console log. So we are getting the expected output. So here we are using for is loop. Okay, so we are running for is on number, and here is the function, and you can console log what you are getting. Console.log say value, and console.log index and array. I have shown you in the previous of my videos. Okay, so you are getting as a value, you are getting 45, 4. You see the console log 9, 16, and 25. So as an index, you are getting the corresponding index 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in the array, you are getting the original array. Okay, so you can see it by console logging. So what they are saying, so note that this function takes 3 arguments. The value means we are getting the original array, not index. Okay, 45, 9, 16, 95. So function takes 3 arguments. The item index, then item means the index. Okay, and the array itself. The example above use only the value of the value property. It can be written to. So you can omit the two properties over here, two parameters over here. It will do. It will also do the same thing. So still I am getting 45, 4, 9, 16, 25. So the example above only use the value parameters. It can be rewritten to. So this is the same. Okay, so you can use the index array, or optionally you can use it. You can use only the values. So main thing is that the gist or the conclusion is that they are discouraging you to use foreign loops with the array. So if array, you can use for loop, for up loop, or array for is. And for object, you can use foreign loop. Okay, so we are done. So in the next chapter, we'll discuss about the for up loop. So if you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned, stay connected. See you soon.